Hi, everybody. This is Higgy, and welcome to the NoMo Survivor Series. Changing the music. Hi, everybody. Please take the time to share this out. I'm Higgy, host. The No More Heroin Survivor Series is an original product of No More Heroin 501c3 nonprofit and then Facebook page. We showcase inspirational testimonies of people that have overcome seemingly insurmountable odds to have and live a life of purpose and destiny. These people are defying the odds and overcoming their addictions, life situations, life choices, real people with real testimonies. And tonight, there's no exception. We have Meet the Mungavins with us tonight. Please take the time to share this out. I'm gonna let the audience build a little bit. We're gonna welcome people coming in. Again, please take the time to share this. I'd like you guys to meet Joseph and Christina Mungavin from Delaware.
Amen. Hey.
Welcome to the show, guys.
What's going on, Charles? Hey.
It's good to see everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Monica.
Monica Swift, I love you. Bradley Bagwell.
Bradley. What's going on, Bradley?
Usually I'll play a music video to let the audience build, but with the internet being so overworked and hinky, the videos don't come across well. So we're just going to take this time to welcome everybody as they're coming in. Perfect. Renee Cooper, I love you. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Renee.
Yeah, thank you.
We got some from Clearwater, Florida.
Lana.
Welcome.
We should have people from all around the world on here tonight.
Yeah. How are you?
Thanks for joining, Amanda.
Hello, Janet McClanahan. You won a Joe Nestor CD last night. I'm not sure if you're aware of that.
Good job.
Good job. Please shoot me a message.
Rick,
so I have an address. Rick Shatworth. I love you guys.
We love you, Rick.
Adam Smith. I love you, dude. What's up?
What's going on, Adam? I got my tea here, guys. Grab some coffee. Down with us and join.
Deborah Privet says, hi, my friend.
Oh, Deborah, how are you?
Deborah.
She's a good friend of ours.
Renee, I see you. Brian Connolly says hello from Chicago.
Hello, Brian. From Chicago.
Monica's in West Virginia. I love you, Monica. You're my unicorn. She always says that to me.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to be a unicorn.
B. Clark Creamer, what up, Joe and Tina?
Gang, gang.
He's actually he's an admin on our spiritual animals page.
Yeah, we got another page, spiritual animals, and a couple things going on in the works.
So you have another page besides Meet the Mungavins?
Yeah, we used to do a lot of Zoom meetings on there, and we had like a real tight group on there, and then like I don't know, like people just branched off, and we kind of just started going off Meet the Mungavins, you know.
Yeah, we wanted to be more public with speaking to get our message out there to more people. So we created the page, so it wasn't private, you know, it was like a vlog page. So that's where Meet the Mungavins started.
I put the link in the comments for your page. Is it a page or a group? The Real Talk.
The page, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Kind of like yours, but much smaller. Yeah.
Well, we're going to do something about that tonight. We're going to get you some more followers. Please, everybody, chime in where you're watching from, what your clean and sober date is, or if you're struggling, please reach out. Real magic happens in these comments. Please just reach out. You'll get a phenomenal amount of support. We'll get you set up in a chat thread with some people to give you some love and support. Hey, Charles, I see you, bro.
Charles.
Yeah, guys, put in them clean, recognize that milestones with you.
Yes.
And we're originally from PA, Allison.
Allison, good to see you. I'm seeing Jamie. Jamie's in here somewhere.
Yeah, I like this.
I like this show. This is interesting.
Indiana,
Mindy, congratulations.
Guys, I can't see well, so if I'm up close to the screen squinting, it's because I can't.
Don't feel alone. Don't feel alone.
This is beautiful.
B. Clark Creamer.
Birmingham, Alabama.
Look at that.
Alabama in the house.
Bama, baby.
He's a really good guy. He's very strong in faith. We're very good friends with Brandon.
I love that. I love that. You know, people that rep their recovery and their faith out loud.
Yeah, it's
love
very,
it. Love
cool.
it. I'm a man of faith as well. So let me see here. One more. Oh, wait a minute. Oop. Monica Swift, 2/22/19, Charleston, West Virginia. Congratulations. Thank you, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing. I'm trying to find them. I'm going to post the link to your page one more time so I can catch it in the comments and pin it on the Facebook post from my phone. Pin the post. Bam, guys. You get the opportunity, please check out Meet the Mungavins, Recovery Talk. Recovery Talk. They do a fantastic job in inspiring, motivating, and sharing a message of hope and faith. I love it. Please, if you would, where should I start? Let's start with your stories. You know, I think it's phenomenal that you two are a married couple in recovery, and you guys are really doing the deal. You know, and it takes some work for two people in recovery to come together. So, what's the backstory on that? You know, where did you both come from? You know, from the same area. Enlighten us all.
I'll let her dive into the.
It's actually a pretty crazy story. So I was Joey and I grew up. He's 10 years older than me. How I met Joey was I was dating his close friend actually at the time, and you know, I met him through a man named Mike. And we were dating for about 4 years. And Joey always had something about him. When I was with Mike, he and I experimented with drugs, and that's really where my addiction picked up, I guess you could say, was when I was with Mike. And Joey was really the only example of a program that I had ever experienced. And he had just like this light about him that always, it just was really attractive to me. And then Mike passed away due to a tragic work accident. He was a tree climber, or he was working for a tree service, and he was actually struck between the work vehicle and the truck. So he passed away on impact. And then
tragic.
I was actually pregnant at the time with his daughter. And so shortly after that, Joey just kept showing up for me. You know, he was just always there. He was that friend that I really needed, and he took away. I was just in a really, really dark place of my life at that point. You know, and after I had my daughter, I really went down like a really horrible downward spiral, and I didn't know how to get out of it. And Joey pretty much just swooped me up and took me under his wing, and I made him deal with a lot of BS for a really long time before I actually got my act together. But you know, he fathered my daughter Ava. I mean, she calls him dad. I mean, he's been around since she was like 4 months, you know, so he was always there for her.
It's very admirable.
Yeah, it was really heartwarming, you know, because that was my biggest fear. You know, I didn't want Ava to ever have to grow up without knowing what a father's love felt like. And that was one of my biggest concerns, obviously, when Mike had passed away. And then Joey just came right in, you know, and it's kind of like, I'm a very strong believer in God, and I wasn't always that way, you know.
She used to cringe when I would
play.
Joey
used to put worship music on, and I used to literally sit there and cringe. Like, I wanted no parts of God in my life. But I saw something working in his life that wasn't working in mine, and I noticed that I had missed the whole God piece in my life, you know. And so then I really got curious about it, and so I started experimenting with my faith. And then I had a lot of.
Tell us what that was like.
What's that?
Tell us what that was like.
What
experiment with your faith?
Oh my God. I was just, I was really lost and I was really broken, and I seen God working in his life and just believing in God and what it was doing for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had a lot of experiences with God that are pretty crazy that I would always doubt because I felt crazy experimenting with those things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
It's those baby steps we always talk about, right?
Exactly, baby. So I started going to Bible studies because I grew up Catholic. You know, I went to 12 years of Catholic school. Grade school was Catholic. High school was Catholic. Yeah. And then I went to a private college that would make us take Bible classes and things like that. But I still never really understood having an experience with God and what it felt like. And so seeing God working in his life got me really curious. So I started going to Bible studies and I started linking up with other Christian women and things like that. And then it started all piecing together for me. And then we went through a horrible relapse, 15 months ago. And through that's where my faith really picked up, when I had gotten sober. So
I agree. I've experienced that in my recovery as well.
Yeah, it was like the 12 steps. Really, I read this thing and it was like God led me to AA and then AA led me back to God. And that's absolutely my experience. I mean, going through the 12 steps and just how they changed my life really made me come to understanding that there is God out there. I understand everyone is different, but that's just my experience. I call my higher power God, and so does Joey. But it was very trivial. And, there's times I'm not a perfect human being. There's times where my faith can get stagnant, or I have to get plugged back in. It's a continual thing. You have to keep plugging yourself back in. It's not for
Absolutely.
me, for me, but oh crap, I'm sorry, dude. I keep forgetting that's your bad leg. I keep falling on his bad hip and I don't need to do it.
Oh, that's right. Joey was just recently in a really horrible accident. How are you feeling, my friend?
Yeah, so no, I'm not in the best shape, physically. But I can tell you this, it's made me so much more grateful. Like when I look at my kids playing, I just realize that, God's not done with me. He has a purpose for me. And like, and it's so ironic because we've been doing these type of videos here for like the last, a little over a year now. And doing Zooms, and we've been doing this and online and, all this stuff. And, now everyone's just kind of tapping and plugging into it. So it's like, we've been training for this, it's like a beautiful thing. It's amazing. Just, being in that accident, just realizing how precious life is, it's, it can be taken at any second, especially with everything going on with this virus and everything. Like, I'm just grateful, and I'm kind of stuck, like I'm a plumber, and, I'm used to running around and everything. And now God kind of just slowed me down, and I'm really taking a look at, everything. I'm taking a look at my family. I'm taking a look at my program. I'm taking a look at my, what was I doing and wasn't I doing? I got stuck chasing a dollar, it felt like, and this is just a time for me to strengthen my program, my relationship with God right now.
Is it similar to you, the where you're at with maybe coming in as a newcomer to recovery, having to slow down and learn to sit with your own thoughts?
Oh yeah. So it's challenging, like, I got my routine. I've had my routine where I wake up early, I get in my work truck, I play my, 106.9, I get my mind flowing, and I'm in my element there. And like right now, I'm more like, I'm not used to being at home all day with the kids and, with her and just, and then to top it off, I can't move, it'd be different if I could move and paint the house or, I'm just stuck sitting. So yeah, that's real experience right now.
That's horrible. It's horrible because I'm a very active person too. I'm up early, I'm doing my daily routine, and then I'm off and running, and I don't shut off until about midnight at night.
Yeah.
And when that's interrupted, it just you feel out of kilter, like there's something wrong. So you're having to come up with a new schedule, a new plan of daily activities, and still try to feel like you're doing something worthwhile.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely out of the element, but like I said, this is when all them bag of tools come into play. Like all that foundation I built. Calling my sponsor and staying tapped in and plugged in and just finding different ways. Like I always
Yeah.
used to tell her, like everyone doesn't do it the same. Like my thing, I wake up and listen to music and get my mind going and say my prayer, and like hers might be reading a book or like everyone has that different thing. So you got to find what works for you, to be able to tap in and start your day. I
Yeah.
think that's the most important thing. How do I
Yeah.
wake up?
How you start your day. Exactly. So
Just
B. Clark
40.
Creamer says
Yeah.
Joe's 15 months is in 4 days. Tina's was yesterday. Let's see some hearts for him. Throw some hearts up, y'all. Congratulations, Tina.
Thank you.
Amen,
Thank you
amen.
very much. Thanks, Brandon.
I want to go back to coming back from relapse, but before I do that, I'd like to get some of Joe's backstories, because I believe I heard him say last night on the crawl that he ran the streets in Kensington, and
Yeah.
that all by itself speaks volumes of the determination and you as a survivor overall to
Oh,
just come out of that environment alive and in
yeah.
one piece is just speaks volumes for where you come from. So I'd like to hear a little bit about that.
Okay, so basically, I grew up in Bucks County, like Levittown, Mooresville area, and I bumped around and moved around, and like my first experience with really getting into drugs and alcohol, I wanted to be like my older brother. He was 2 years older than me, and I'll skip like all the initial stuff, drinking in the woods and all that stuff, but like my first real experience, man, I dove into heroin and crack at the age of 17. And, it led me to go on a burglary spree, which we got caught, me, my brother, and another guy. And, that was my first experience with senior year. I was going into my senior year in high school, and that whole entire summer is when I started to party off, and I couldn't stop, so I dropped out and I got locked up, before the school year started. And they locked me up for an entire year. I went to Northwestern Academy boot camp. I went to 6.5 months of an inpatient facility, and it was just insane. And that was my first taste of the program. Like people came in, and I got 18 months clean from that, and I started to work out and go to the gym. And I decided, you know what? Let me take a cycle of juice. That'll elevate me to another level. And then like,
Right.
that came with that. I wanted to go to the club. I wanted to get the girls, and like next thing I had a drink in my hand. I didn't realize that I can't do anything in moderation. Once I pick up anything, all bets are off. I can't stop.
Yeah, I've heard that before, that steroids are a mind and mood altering substance.
I believe they are. Yes.
Yeah, they get that ego going, that pride and ego. Yeah, that untouchable feeling.
Yeah, man. Yeah, but just like 10 feet tall and totally bulletproof.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
Just like alcohol.
And so basically, I hopped around, and I ended up moving to Phil. Once I discovered Kensington, I don't know if anyone's familiar with Kensington and Philadelphia, but it's like an open drug air market. It's absolutely insane. You can literally just walk around. People just go there and stay there. They call it the Bermuda Triangle. Like you just go there and you get lost.
Mm-hmm.
And
some people come out, some people don't.
Yeah, and I never understood it until I went there. And once I went there I felt like I was at home. I felt like, oh my God, I don't need to go anywhere. They literally have everything right here. Like, where do I need to go? So, I ended up homeless in the streets of, I'm skipping a bunch of stuff, but I ended up homeless in the streets of Philly, because I wanted to keep using. I slept in abandoned houses. I've hid under a bridge with a screwdriver and a knife, sticking people up, and like just an absolute life of insanity. But guess what? Like that abnormal became the normal. That life became normal to me. And people would visit me down there, and they would try to get me off the street, but I just wasn't done. to me, I was like, no, like, I mean, where am I going from here? You know, I just seemed hopeless. I didn't have an answer. You know, I didn't know how to stop. I didn't really want to stop. You know, I kind of did, but I didn't know how. And, you know, I built up all these charges, man. And like, basically, I'll fast forward a little bit, you know, like in 2009, I got in a lot of trouble. I built up charges in, you know, Bucks County, Montgomery County, Philly, and I built like all these cases all over the place. And I ended up going to jail, getting locked up in Bucks County prison. Then they sent me right from there to Montgomery County prison. And they sent me right from there to Philly, to CFCF in Philly, then right to Pick in Philly. And from there, they sent me to Graterford. From there, they sent me to Camp Hill. From there, they sent me to SCI Green out in Waynesburg, PA. It was a level 5 max security prison where a bunch of lifers are. And like, that's where I ended up. And I'm like, hold on a second. As I'm sitting there, I'm like, how did I get here? Like, normal people don't do a 7 prison tour, you know, and it's not normal. So that's where I really started getting in touch with my faith. I'm like, God, like, what am I doing? How do I get out of this lifestyle? You know, I've been living it on and off, in and out of detoxes, in and out of rehabs, in and out of facilities. And like I was saying the other day, like, I love the detox. I love the rehab. You know, there's no responsibility. I can hang out. You're going to feed me.
Just chill.
I can eat peanut butter and jellies whenever I want. You know what I mean? Like, I get to try to bang a new girl. You know, like that's I loved it. You know, it was like, it was great, you know, but really it wasn't. You know, I just didn't know how to be a man.
That's right.
And you know, basically what happened was when I got out of that state prison, I did 2 years of it. My sentence was like a 2 to 8. It was like 18 to 96 months or something. I ended up doing 2 years. And when I got out, I was in Kensington in Philadelphia, and that's where I got clean, you know, right in the headland. Like, and I went to a meeting and I raised my hand and I said, you know, pretty much, hi, I'm Joe, and I don't know how to live. You know, I don't know how to be a man. I don't know how to be a son. I don't know how to be a father. I need help, you know. And these 2 guys came up to me and, you know, they helped me extremely. They said, what are you willing to do? And I said, I'm willing to do anything. And the one guy said, well, fine, meet me at 69th Street tomorrow. He's not even from around that area. He just wanted to see how willing I was. And guess what? I didn't question it. I met him there, and he just said, I wanted to see if you're willing to meet me here, you know, and I did. And then we sat down, and we went through the big book. You know, we're in AA. We went through the big book. We dove through the steps, and I just started running around. I looked at the city like there was an endless supply of people to help. You know, I started to look at it differently, like, oh, my God, this is a war zone, and I'm a soldier for God. Like, I can run around helping these people. So I did that. I got 3 years clean. I messed up for about a month, and then I got 7 years clean. And I met her about on like the 3rd or 4th year or something like that.
Together, like when you were 5 years clean.
I've had about 4 or 5 years clean, and we started talking. And you know, like, she mentioned the whole story of how we, you know, started talking or whatever. But like, you know, she was with a man who I grew up with, and he got killed in a freak accident. And you know, at this point, I got years clean. I got a good career. I got my own place, you know, and I'm coming around her and the family. I grew up with his family. You know, I'm just trying to comfort and console. And like, something kept leading me to her. You know, like, I knew like this girl was going to die if I didn't reach out, you know. So one day I just said, yo, you're moving in. And I just kind of moved her in.
Yeah.
Well, good for you.
Yeah, I just snatched her off, you know.
He did.
Like, get in here. And, you know, she hated it, you know, like you know, I could tell she wanted it, you know, and I just knew deep down, like, you know, she was worth fighting for, you know, and we fought, you know, like, she would mess up every 3 months, 6 months, you know, she would get 3 months here, 90 days, 30 days. And I would kick her out to her mom's for a couple nights, and I would bring her back because I was scared what she was going to do. And, you know,
like living in chaos for a really long time.
You know,
and I understand like where I went wrong. It was to the point where like I didn't know what to do with myself when I was clean. I wasn't free, you know. I was just clean from the mind and mood altering substances, but I wasn't free from them. So like I wasn't applying a program to my life.
Just
so
dry.
I was like a dry drunk, just waiting for another relapse to happen, you know? So when these urges would start to come on, I didn't know what to do with them. And I started missing the chaos. I started missing the streets. I started missing it because I didn't have side of my life that could replace those feelings, you know, those negative feelings, replacing them with something positive, which we get from the program. But I wasn't experiencing it. So why wouldn't I relapse? You know what I mean? Like if I didn't have any working thing in my life, I had nothing to save me. So that's where I went wrong every time. I really had to, my downward spiral had to be continuous for a long time in order for me to get it. I had to hit really bad, you know.
Yeah, so pretty much when she moved in, you know, like I said, I was working a lot. I was, you know, plumbing and everything. So I'd always have to keep an eye, like, what's she doing? Where's she at? I had her location on my phone, you know, so she couldn't sneak anywhere. And, you know, it was just a nightmare. But, like, you know, I ended up getting 7 years clean, you know, by working a program, by doing these things. And towards the end of that there, you know, I helped so many people. I probably sat with thousands of people and took them through the steps, you know, and, like, literally thousands. And I started to feel like, who do I need to ask for help when I'm helping all these people? You know, it got to the point where I already know what you're going to say if I call you. So why am I even going to bother? And what ended up happening was I kind of isolated myself, you know, as to being her higher power. You know, I was her higher power and she latched on to me like I was the higher power.
Right.
And before you know it, you know, there was a moment of weakness. And one weekend, you know, we decided to get some perk 30s. It sounded good. And I remember like it was yesterday. I told the lady that we got it from, I said, there goes 7 years. And the girl went, oh my God.
Oh.
And, couldn't stop.
That insane thinking. I mean, what would, you know, you were talking about the, you're being separated from your program, not reaching out. You know, that's my story as well. We get wrapped up in other things in life and stop investing ourselves in our program, doing the things that work, calling people that we should, and staying connected. You know, and then after hearing, you know, being involved in a program, people do say the same things to us, but they're telling us the truth. You know.
Yeah. It's so hard to hear it too. Like, you know, I had that mentality, like, you know, I was helping so many. I was so heavily involved, you know, in the program, you know, like that I felt invincible at that time, you know, and
that ego and pride.
Yep, it was that pride and ego. And then when we did pick up, we got away with it for a week. You know, we did it one weekend and then didn't use, and then we did it another weekend. So, I mean, within a 10-year span, I only messed up for 1 month, you know, and then came along this adventure here to where we got it in together. And she's never seen me use, you know, like when I was out there.
He told me I woke up a beast.
Yeah, when I was out there was no fentanyl stuff. There was none of that. You know, it was like straight, you know, it was 7 years before that. You got to imagine it was a whole different scene. You know, I wasn't even prepared for what I was walking into because obviously once the money started getting low, and there were a lot of money, them things, you know, I turned right back to, you know, my love, the heroin, you know, and you know, it's cheaper, you know, that's what you tell yourself, more affordable, cheaper.
And it gets ugly really, really quick.
It did.
Yeah, and it did. And we overdosed so many times. And, you know, during this process, when we were using, my brother passed away. My brother got out of jail. Thank you. He got out of jail. He was out of jail maybe 8 hours. And somehow he made his way to COP and went to a recovery house. And while he was in that recovery house, they all went to a meeting. And he was like, no, I'm going to stay here and unpack my things. So no one was at the house with him. And when they got back from the meeting, you know, they found a surprise in the bedroom. You know, it was my brother OD'd on the floor. And it's just insane. I still a little resentful, you know, that they would leave a new guy there like that. But, you know, a smooth talker, you know. So
we all are.
Basically, none of my family, no one knew I was using at that point. And, you know, I had to go to my brother's viewing. And that day, you know, I had to have it. And I was sick, you know, and I couldn't find any of my connections. And I contacted some weird person that I never knew of. And I met some guy on the side of, you know, the interstate. and got some, perks off them, and they turned out to be fake. They were like cut with fentanyl. They were like fake pills.
Wow.
And I do them, and I show up at my brother's thing, and my lips start turning purple, and I literally overdosed in my own brother's viewing. My own brother's.
Yeah,
That's
I remember
tragic.
we literally had to sneak them out of there so we won't cause a scene. I mean, we're at a funeral. I had them in a back room, and
I show up in an Eagles jersey, like the whole nine. It was absolute. I show up wearing a white jersey, mangled.
It was like his coming out party, pretty much, to his friends and family that he was using again. Well, that we were using together. And I remember I had him in the back room, and he wasn't, he was going stiff on me. And I remember I called his cousin and my sister-in-law, and we had to sneak him out through the back and get him into a hospital.
That's the insanity that happens to us when we pick up again, right? The most craziest of situations, at the most inopportune times.
Yeah, and
we had plenty of those times.
Yeah, they pumped me. They had to keep pumping me. I don't, like with Narcan over and over, and they were injecting it in me in the hospital. And I came to. And matter of fact, I went out after that. As soon as I woke up, pretty much it came to. I ripped the thing out and I said, I got to go. And I went and got more, and ended up in another hospital, overdosed again that same night. So twice. They probably hit me with 15 shots of Narcan and saved my life.
I've never seen anything like it. They were just pumping his body with Narcan like every 15 minutes. He comes to you first, and then they ask him a question.
What did I say?
They asked him, Joey, he was real like, he thought he knew it all. He popped up and they're like, what's your name? He's like, Joseph Mungavin. And they're like, what's today's date? And this is the middle of summer. And he was like, it's December 25th. And they were like, no, it's not Christmas.
That's the insanity.
That is insane. And it's a testament to what happens when we do relapse. All the collateral damage, all the chaos, everything, every bit of peace and joy goes out the window. So if anybody out there is listening right now that is contemplating getting high is starting to sound good. Listen to what Joe and Tina are saying. This is stereotypical of what happens to people like us when we pick up again. And it's getting so dangerous out there. And the truth is, it stopped working a long time ago. It wasn't fun anymore. It was just, for me, it was just an ingrained behavior to try to escape pain.
Absolutely.
At one point it was pleasurable, and I kept doing this for years and years, trying to get that pleasure back. And in doing so, I'd get 5 seconds at a time of pleasure in doing it. And the rest was just pain and misery. It's gone.
It's like it's an illusion that we have in our minds that it's going to be different this time, or we're going to be able to control it, but we can't. We don't have that in our brain. We don't have that switch. Like once we put it in our bodies, the switch goes off, and we're off. And it's
that obsession starts kicking in, and then it starts feeding lies to our brains, and the blinders go up, and all we're seeing is more. I don't know if you're like me, but even when I was high and I had dope in my pocket, I was thinking about getting more. Always plotting, planning, all that wasted energy and mental energy. Plotting and planning, manipulating.
It becomes a lifestyle. It's not even, it's a lifestyle at that point. It's an all-day occurrence where you wake up, you got to get your stuff, you got to lie, cheat, manipulate, do whatever you got to do to get that next one, and then you get it. And then you got to do it all over again. And it's like a never-ending cycle, and it's terrible. And there's just been so many times where he and I should have died. I remember this one time he came home with some bad stuff, and he called me. He's like, I almost died. I can't bring this home. And I'm like, no, you are, because I'm sick. And I did the tiniest amount, and it just kept coming and coming and coming on. And then before you know it, I was experiencing an overdose awake, though. I've never experienced anything like it. I felt like my life was being sucked right out of me. My soul. Hey, Stacey, it was just sucked out of me. And
you couldn't stop it. You didn't know how to stop it.
And I didn't know what to do. I was literally dying, but I was awake for it. And I remember looking at Joey, and I was just like, can you pray with me? And we got on the floor and we prayed, and I somehow walked off an overdose. Like
Yeah,
I just
walked
got
over
up.
a few. It was insane.
Yeah, it
That's
was
a
just
miracle right there. You're both miracles. You're both
Yeah.
miracles.
So
You,
after my brother and everything, so that whole thing happened, and that wasn't enough. Watching him, die, almost dying twice at his funeral, like I still kept going. And after that, it took us 10 months to use it, almost 11 months, and we lost everything. We lost our kids. Someone called, child services on us, and ended up coming and knocking on the door and taking the kids, and I was ready to fight that guy, and it's just a lot of bad stories that we won't, have to get into. We all been there. But the most important part is, finally, after the kids were gone and we're sitting there with nothing in a lifeless home with nothing, basically a crack house that we're getting evicted from at this point. And, I'm like, we both decided to go away. We went away and made that choice to go get help. And, I was scared because we knew, she had to go to her mom's in Levittown. I had to go to my dad's in Delaware. It was a whole nother state away. And I'm like, God, we're just giving up everything. We thought we were going to lose each other. And it was the most painful moment when I was sitting in that detox by myself with a trash bag. I call it the Kensington luggage, with the trash bag of clothes, wondering, how did this happen again? I had 7 years. Like, how did this happen again? And I'm sitting there beating myself up. Like, why? Why did I make this choice again? And I couldn't answer it. I couldn't answer the question. And it's just because I stopped doing what I was doing. I stopped working that program, and just to give people some hope. Now that we dove in a little bit of the story, within 3 months of getting out of that rehab, and what happened was she found a sponsor down there. I got a sponsor up here. And we both went to meetings religiously, and we worked a program. So we both literally built ourselves up and went through the steps and built our platforms. And then we came back together. Within 90 days, I found a new job, a new good job, plumbing career. We miraculously got a house, like all this. And it's just by being faithful and working that program that God moved like that. Like he moved, got us into a home. We got our kids back. Just a lot of good things. We started some online stuff. We've been doing this since we were separated. This is how we would plug in. We would go to the meetings, plus add this to our program, that we're already living in our lives. We didn't want to come on here and just say a bunch of stuff that we're not living and doing. We wanted to come on here with a real message of hope and
Yeah, we always wanted to be honest and thorough and raw when we came on here, because we understand everyone has their own experiences of drugs and alcohol, and this just so happened to be ours. But we were always just real straight up with where we were at in that moment of time. But it's been an amazing process, and it's been an amazing journey, and I would encourage anybody to just give it a shot. That's where I went wrong for 7 years of my life. Like, that's why I was chronically relapsing. That's why I could never get my shit together, because I never gave the program an honest and thorough shot. I was always halving it, but it says it right in the literature.
half measures availed us
nothing.
You're either all in or you're all out. So you have to make that choice. Like, am I going to give this everything that I have to save myself and be free from something that's killing me slowly? Or am I going to allow this to completely consume my life? That's where you have to make that choice. And for me, I made that choice in that shitty little apartment that we were being evicted from. I was so broken and lost. And I realized I didn't want to die, but I didn't want to live that life anymore. And I didn't know how to get out of it. So I actually wrote a suicide letter to my children and just explaining to them thoroughly in detail what it was like to live the life of a heroin addict, and to just let my kids know, mommy loves you guys so much, but mommy couldn't fight anymore. But it didn't work, I wanted to intentionally overdose, and I woke up from that. And then 3 days later, he and I landed up in a rehab. So God showed up for me right then and there when he knew I was like,
hi,
Ava.
beautiful.
She won't go to
hey,
bed.
Ava. You're pretty. Oh.
Yeah, she woke up. She always tends to wake up when we're on a live. But that's where God showed up in my life. That's when I was at my weakest point, and he still showed up for me, and he still lifted me up, and he gave me that window of opportunity to seek help for myself. So that's really where my faith started. And when I went into rehab, I used it to my full advantage. All the grief and loss groups they had, I went in there and I did it. I made every group. You know, I was just really. I remember I was sitting in a meeting, and for like the first half hour of this meeting, I just could not get into it. And I remember I probably heard this like a million different times in my life before, but for this, I don't know why, but for some reason, what this guy said really clicked with me. And all he said was, "Are you willing to do what it takes to be free?" And I was like, oh my God, all I have to do are these 12 steps that all these people are talking about, and I could be free from this. And so I did. And the first thing I did when I got out of rehab was I made a meeting, you know, and then I called up my old sponsor, and we linked back up, and she was taking me to meetings with her, and we were doing step work. And the transition and recovery was really easy for me because I was willing to do whatever I had to do to live a different life. And it was amazing the way it works. And like Joey just said, within 3 months, life just showed up for us, and it kind of just mapped itself out because we were doing the right things. And it was a really beautiful process, honestly.
You know, when you get clean and sober, you can do and be anything you want. And then it brings back so many opportunities. And then you're clear-minded, and you can see the potential in the opportunities. And then you can take advantage of the opportunities, right?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, you lose all like, from having that amount of time and that amount of respect from everybody in the community. Like, everyone loved me, and I was, you know, I was on fire, and anyone that needed help would call me, or their kids or their family. And like, as soon as I picked that one up, that old feeling of everyone snubbing their nose at you and everyone, you know, like looking down upon you, like, that's what I'll never forget. Like, the way that people treat you, you know, when you're out there, and you not only the way they treat you, but the way that you accept it, because that's how I felt on the inside. I felt like I was a total pile of shit.
Yes.
And I'm worth nothing. You know, so I allowed people to treat me that way because that's who I was. You know, that's how I felt at the time.
But that was the furthest thing from the truth, though, right?
Yeah, it's gaining that confidence back is, you know, when I went to that meeting and raised my hand and got honest and, like, you know, told people, hey, because when I came here, no one knew me and I had all this knowledge. So I could have came down here and been like, hi, you know, I'm here to sponsor people, you know, but instead I you know, I can recite the big book front to back. I can, you know, like, but I went in there and I said, hey, before I get my ego and pride going, I messed up, you know, I need help, you know, and I got a sponsor. And, you know, the most helpful thing he did, I was in an area I didn't know anybody. And he said, you know, go to a meeting, get somebody's phone number every meeting and call them the next day. And I did that. And what that did was it allowed people to get to know who I was. And it also allowed me to build a foundation. So next time I went to that meeting and I had called 4 or 5 people, you know, like when I walked in, they're like, oh, there's Joe, you know, and they got that. And that's how you build that network. Like, that's how you build your own. It says we build that fellowship up around you. And like, that's how it happens. You can't just sit in the back row and just say, oh, this thing didn't work for me. Like, no, there's the fellowship and then there's the program. Like, the fellowship's where you go to hang out and meet people. Like, the program is diving into the solution, you know, the 12 steps, diving into action, you know, getting connected with that power greater than yourself, which will solve my problem. What's my problem? My problem is selfishness and fear. You know, I'm so full of all these things that it's like, you know, it's killing me on the inside and I don't know what to do with it, you know, and like, until I meet somebody armed with the facts that's going to, you know, be able to, you know, tell me the truth, you know. And I think the willingness, like when you first come in or when we first went to that detox, we're so willing. And then you start getting things back. You know, I start getting materials and a job and then this. And like, you start to lose that willingness of the dying man. You know, like I start to lose that.
Yes, preach.
I think even now, like when I was running around working, like you start chasing that dollar. And I think that's why maybe God had me get in that accident and slow me down so I could recenter and regroup on my, you know, my program.
Welcome back, Christoph.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to my buddy Christoph Perry. He got honest. He got honest, and I just got off the phone with him before I jumped on here with you guys. He got honest, and he admitted he'd been drinking, and he gave away a little over 2 years, but he took initiative. He's back. and he's stacking days again. And you don't lose that knowledge and that experience in the past 2 years. It's just
Exactly.
more facts to arm yourself with and to move forward. You're going to be more help to people in this condition than you were before. Is that the same for you since you got humbled because you had some significant time and some significant experiences being humbled and coming back and having to work your program again, only better? Does that make you more effective in helping other people?
Yeah, it was
yeah.
I mean, it's you kind of like, so if you're not coming to the programs, you're not being of action. You start to like they always say, keep it green. When I go to the meetings, I see the newcomers suffering, and like once you start to lose touch with that, you start to forget that I got this malady, that I got this hole in the soul. I mean, you know what I mean? Like I got that God-sized hole in the soul that I'm trying to fill things, and like I start to forget, and I think that's what happened. Like but now I went, God clotheslined me and said, bang, I'm running the show here. So like I started humble me, and guess what? Like, I went back through, I dove back in and started doing that step work again. I went right back to what got me where I was at that point, like everything I stopped doing, I just started doing. And guess what? Like going through them experiences, it makes you better. Like if you're able to survive through that, like, I'm that much more valuable. When they say my mess is my message, like I can reach that person that's ate out of dumpsters. Some people may not be able to reach that person, like that's been homeless and this. Like some people didn't have to reach that bottom. And guess what? Like if you didn't have to reach the bottom, I did, thank God. Like that doesn't make you any more or less of an addict than me. If you're an office person or a businessman or woman, like, and you can't relate to being homeless and your life didn't go down to scale, like the thing is, like, if you pick it up and you can't stop, like, like I can't stop. I have that little voice in my head, the little gerbil wheel that says, you're a piece of shit. You're not good enough.
Yeah.
Go do it. Why not?
I got that gerbil too.
Yeah.
It's not only that, like even sober is a danger zone if I'm not working a program. Sober is like I want to go gamble, I want to go do this, I want to go to I try to fill
living dirty.
Yeah, try to fill the void with other things, and it's not good enough. Like you said, stop working. Well, even with being sober, like my problem wasn't when I was high or drunk. There was no problem then. My problem's when I'm sober. When you take my solution from me and I'm sitting there back with me, that's the problem. I don't know how to live.
Because I am the problem. Always have been.
The drugs and alcohol is the problem. Well, no, it's not.
We never had drugs and alcohol in our faces and said that's a problem.
I had a money problem. I had a prison problem. You know what I mean? Like that was the problem.
The policemen are targeting me.
Yeah. That's the problem.
That's where the steps come in use, because it's step 4. You get down to them causes and conditions of yourself, and that's where all the, that's where our condition lies, is in that step right there, and that's what helps us empty it all out. And for me, like, I don't know if I can get that out. For me, like, I was always so fearful of that 4th step, but like this time around, like, I couldn't wait to get that shit off my shoulders, because in my perspective, it was like these things were keeping me held in one place for a really long time of my life. And so when I got to step 5 and I emptied all that out to another human being who I trusted, it was like I was finally able to walk again for the first time in 7 years. So I don't know. I wasn't.
What advice would you give to someone that's hung up on doing their 4th and 5th step?
What's my advice?
Yeah. Because so many people go out, just.
Everything's already up here. You know what I mean? Everything that's ever happened to us, or anything that we've ever done, we already know about it. It's already up here and it's eating us alive.
That fear.
It's literally eating at us, and we're not going to be able to continue on with our life journey until we empty that out. So like when it comes to the 4th step, I understand we get really scared. I used to get like that, but this time around, I understood that it was just something that I had to do. Like I'm just transferring it from my mind onto paper, and that's all it is. So it's nothing to be hyped about. It's nothing to be afraid about. It's just something that you got to do for yourself. to free yourself, it's like little chain links to your back. You know, all those resentments, those fears, those doubts, that nitty gritty shit that we did. They're like little keeping us in one spot. And so when we get to the fifth step and we start releasing everything, those chain links start to come off. You know, we're finally forward rather than staying.
It's such a freeing experience, man. I was so loaded down with guilt, shame, and remorse and disgust for myself to verbalize, to write and to verbalize that stuff I felt 1,000 times lighter.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, my guilt was eating at me for years, and I'm not a person that knows how to carry that because I use over it. That's just the kind of person I am. Like you said earlier in this video, we use because we don't want to feel anything. Well, I was feeling all these horrible emotions, the guilt, the shame, the fear, and I didn't want to feel them anymore. And so the only thing I knew how to do to get rid of that was using drugs. That was my coping mechanism since I was 19 years old. So I'm going to go back to that if I'm not doing my program. I mean, it's simple as that.
A lot of people miss, like, the whole point of this is to get through them steps and to be able to reach out. Like, there's no other feeling. Like, your whole life you felt like you were useless and, you know, like, I'm no good and I have no purpose and value. Like, your value and purpose is to get through them steps and to reach back out to another person. Like, there is no other high, there's no other feeling that when you're able to reach out and to pull another person out of darkness. Like, most people don't even get to experience that, like you said, because they get hung up on that fourth, that fifth, they get hung up on that ninth, that eighth, you know, making them amends, and like they never get free. So they never really experience the program, and then they come back and say, this thing don't work. Well, you never really got through it to even determine whether it works or not. You know, you never did that 10th step at night. You never sought through prayer and meditation to improve your conscious contact. You never practice these principles in all your affairs.
All your affairs. That's right.
Yeah, some of them, you know, they always said the pink and the green. You can have everything else, God, but the pink and the green. You can't come in affairs, but you can come in anything else, you know. And, you know, it's just insane when you just fully commit to, you know, giving yourself to that higher power and just saying, you know what, do what you will with me. You know, like when I wake up in the morning, I got to say, like, God, you know, work through me. Like, this is your body, you know, like, just do whatever you want with me today. And I'm available, you know, and like, that's when life works the best. Like, I was so free. I was living in a recovery house in Kensington where everyone was on methadone and I was the only one in there not on it. And like, you know, and they got bed bugs in the house, which I'm not allergic to accordingly, because I was not getting bit. The whole house was. And like, I felt more free while I was living there than I ever did my entire life. It's because like I was working a program and every night I was out
free on the inside.
Yeah, it was nothing to do with where I was living or what I was doing. I was free from that bondage of that 6-inch prison that I was living in my entire life, you know, and like there was no money couldn't buy that, you know, there's no amount of money.
And we spent so much time trying to fill that God-sized hole with all those other things that were just a temporary fix and never, ever filled that God-sized hole like the work and the love of God.
Right. Nothing ever sufficed. And I was searching for that my entire life. I mean, my life was completely unmanageable for so many years. And I say that because from the time I was a little girl, I remember feeling so out of place. And like we were just saying, having no purpose. Like I felt like at 8 years old, I had no purpose in life. And I felt like I just never fit in. And I was always isolating. I remember my mom would sit me down at like 9 years old and ask me like, why are you so depressed all the time? Why don't you ever want to talk? Why are you always keeping to yourself? And at 9 years old, I don't have an answer for her. I didn't know why. I just knew I felt like I didn't fit in. I felt like I didn't have a place and I felt like I didn't have a purpose. And when I finally came into the program and gave it a thorough shot, like that's when I realized like this is my purpose. Like everything in life doesn't matter. Like I have a purpose now. And it was such a beautiful realization. You know, I would always try to fight to be this big special person in the world. I wanted to go to nursing school and it never worked out. And I always wanted to help people. And then one day I was sitting down and I'm like, I don't have to be a nurse to help people. You know, like I'm doing it by helping people in the program and in the fellowship. Like I'm doing it every day just by being myself. And that's my purpose.
That's right.
So I found my purpose for the first time in my life, and I was just awed by it. I was just like, oh my God, like I finally have a place in this world. So really, my addiction was the best thing that could ever happen to me, because it brought me to the realization that like I have a good purpose in this world, and it's to help reach out to those lost addicts and alcoholics. What's up, Chrissy?
I want to give a shout out to my friend I met last night on the crawl, Mar Macquarie from New Zealand.
Yeah, welcome.
Welcome.
I learned how to pronounce her name last night. Hi, Mike Kersey. I love that dude. He's going to be on the Survivor Series this week as well. You know, you guys have such a passion for living, and just you have an amazing testimony. And again, I thank you guys for jumping on here at the last minute. I'd love to have you guys back again sometime.
Yeah, absolutely, brother.
Whenever we're not going anywhere, you know. So whenever you need us, just let us know.
I would love to do that. I'm not kicking you off. I just want to make it known I want to have you guys back again.
We'll love that.
Chop it up. I love the fact that you have some lived experience, and Joe, you know the big book. You know the principles. You know how you went wrong and how to make adjustments. That's so beneficial for newcomers, and there's a lot of people that are coming into recovery, you know, willingly and unwillingly currently in the state of what's the state of Delaware where you're at with the virus going on?
They're shutting down the barriers now, I believe.
They're not letting anyone. So like if you try to come in here from out of state, they're turning you around. You know, like they're kicking them out. I don't think the numbers are that high here yet. We're in like Wilmington, Delaware, but I know PA is pretty bad. You know, Philly, like that area is worse.
We're like 25 minutes from Philly. You know, like we're literally right there. So I know they're trying to shut off the barriers to the interstates and whatnot. His dad came over the other day, and my mom let me use her car because we don't have a car. So she came up here the other day from Levittown, PA, and dropped off the car, and then I had to drive her back and then drive back up here. And like the next day, his dad was like, you know, you're lucky that you guys did that yesterday, because there's like 10 state troopers by the interstate, you know, exits telling people to turn around.
Yeah,
so
if you don't have a Delaware tag or ID license, like they're trying to kick you out and quarantine you.
Potty break real quick.
You know, I know this is a difficult time, you know, with your injury and whatnot, but on the positive side, you know, maybe God didn't have to stop you so abruptly and so painfully, but maybe you're meant to be home and safe during this time, you know, from avoiding the social contact and what's going on, so you can be home with your family during this time, and to get closer to Him, do more work online. You know, maybe this is just what His will is for you currently.
Yeah, I started rethinking everything. I'm like, man, am I meant to be a plumber? Am I like, you know, like I had so many questions, you know, like, because you start committing your life to work and to this, and I started thinking back, like, man, like, without this program and without God, like I don't have any of this, you know, and, you know, working like that and running around like that, I'm losing that time, not only with my family, but I'm losing it with the program, losing it with a higher power. So yeah, like right before this all happened, I was starting to feel a little distant, you know, I was starting to lose that connection, you know, a little bit, because, you know, we got the kids. So we go to this meeting every Tuesday. They have a babysitter there. So we bring the kids, and that's our thing. I told work I need to get off early every Tuesday. You know, I'm honest with them. Like, hey, I got to go to my meeting, and they know that. And so that's one of our times. And we usually go to church on Sunday. And then if we can, we try to hit a meeting on the weekend. Well, you know, towards, you know, right before all this happened, like, you know, like we'll skip church this week. And we'll not go to the meeting. You know, like we were so involved, you know, with the online, we had the Zoom, you know, I was paying for them, and we were having meetings every night. And then, you know, not only that, we were doing lives at least 3-4 times a week, and then going to church every week faithfully. And then, you know, life starts catching up. I'm too busy. You know, now I'm only hitting that one meeting. Now we're only doing one live a week. Now we're only, you know what I mean? You can start seeing a pattern. You know, now I'm not making them amends. Now I'm not, you know what I mean? Like,
the complacency starts slipping in.
Yeah, so maybe God just stepped in like before something terrible did happen, you know, like who knows? Maybe I would have lost it and went out and OD'd and died. Like maybe he saved my life. Maybe this was you know, it's painful, but maybe it was a life-saving injury, you know, where I could have died in the accident, but like he was with me, you know, there's no doubt. You know, I can't even walk around my house, you know.
Yeah, like if you guys saw the pictures of the car wreck, like you would just be like, how did he survive that? Like the entire front of his car was just gone.
Yeah, it's total.
And the inside was completely smashed in. So it was just like looking at, and it was the scariest thing because it was right down the street from my house, literally like 2 minutes down the street.
What happened? What happened?
Yeah, so I was just driving and this guy, it was like a little wet out. And this guy, it was like a little turn. It was like a little slight turn like this, but you know, you're going straight, but it's a little turn. This guy came in my lane a little bit, and I kind of fidgeted it out. And there's like the draining system's not good down there, so there was like a little water, and I went to straighten back out. And the wheel, you know, I had the wheel turn all the way left, but the car went straight. You know, I
Hydroplaning.
Yeah, the pole was right there, and that was it. I don't remember anything after that. I know like my brain was bleeding, my ribs are all cracked. I have a broken L3 in the back, a fractured L3.
Damn, dude.
You know, my bone broke right at where it connects to the hip. You know, I had to get screws, plates, and you know, that was horrible. I told him I was a recovering addict in the hospital. I'm like, they snubbed their nose at me, man. Like they treated me pretty bad in there. You know, and I was so resentful. And I will tell you, like I did, you know, they put me on stuff in there. Like while I was in there, they were giving me Dilaudid, they were giving me Oxy, they were giving me pain medication, you know, and like I needed it at that point. Like
absolutely.
You know, I was in recovery, and you know, right before I got out, I started talking to the doctor, and I was honest with him, and I said, "Look, you got to lower me." But when I did come home, you know, I was literally detoxing pretty much in the bed, going through all this pain, laying there. That first night here, I woke up.
I knew when it hit him too. I knew the exact time he started detoxing because he just couldn't sit still.
I couldn't sit still. I woke up in a puddle of sweat. The whole bed was just a puddle.
Yeah.
And I woke up this morning. I'm like, I called my dad, and I'm like, what should I do? And he's like, call the doctor. You know, like before them thoughts. So I called the doctor. I leave a message or whatever, and they call me back 3 days later. You know, like 3 days later. The first thing out of her mouth is, I talked to the doctor and she said she's not getting any narcotics. And I'm like, I just felt like the way they treated me, you know. And I said, look, hon, that was 3 days ago. You know, second, I wasn't calling about narcotics. You know, I was trying to see if you give me ibuprofen 800s, maybe a muscle relaxer, like something. I fell like the second day home, or the first or second day home. I fell, and it was brutal. Like I thought I ripped the screws out of my hip. You know, because I forgot that I couldn't put weight on my right leg. You know, so this whole experience has just been you know, like insane. I never had anything like this happen to me. I drive for a living, so I'm you know, a pretty good driver, and like, you know, it's just insane, man. You know, it's insane. Like I'm trying to grasp it all. Like right now,
it's hard to wrap your head around all of those. The sequence of events.
We're strapped financially, like. And I'm just waiting to make sure they approve. I was signed up for short-term disability, like, and that still didn't go through yet. And this is like, this accident happened like what, like over 3 weeks ago, you know, and I'm still not getting anything from them. Like, you know, so it's just a challenging time, scary. You know, I got the family here.
Do you still have the GoFundMe up?
We started a GoFundMe, yeah. A lot of people were generous, and we're so grateful for that. Like that really has helped. You know, we went grocery shopping, and I'm literally holding it in there. I paid rent. I'm holding it to, you know, to make sure, because we have no car or anything right now. Like we have no vehicle.
We have my mom's
and we're letting our moms, but you know, like I'm facing an uphill battle, you know, and I'm just waiting on a letter that says yes, you're approved, and we're gonna be paying every week. You know, once I get that, I'll be, you know, a weight will be lifted. But as of right now, we got a little bit of money through that GoFundMe, and you know, other than that, like, yeah, that's what's been keeping us afloat. You know, I racked up. You know, when you I made a lot of money being a plumber. You know, so my rent alone here is $1,800.
Right.
Not, and you know, every bill you know, I got about $3,500 in bills, plus food, plus the kids, plus she's pregnant right now.
Pregnant, congratulations. So everybody, if you could just contribute a couple dollars for this, it's a very worthy cause. I'm going to be sharing the link on my pages as well. When one of us is hurting, we come together to support, and it's very, very apparent that, you know, that this is a very worthy cause, and I'll be glad to support you on that and try to help out wherever I can.
It was so difficult for us to make that decision too, because like
we were like so against.
We were so against, and we kind of still are. You know, like just because we've been on here for a while, and we've come across a lot of people that would put on GoFundMe's or like, you know, help with this cause, and then no one knew where it was going to. You know, like no one. They'd say that they're doing things for recovery, but there was no facts there, so we were really like against it. And
sure.
then people us like, wow, you need to go fund.
I'm cautious too, because there are scammers out there. There's people that will do anything to, you know, get over, manipulate, you know, still exhibiting those behaviors, and there's just some untruthful people out there.
Right. And so, you know, people had asked us like, why don't you do a GoFundMe? Like, but we would always say that we're against that, and I don't want to be a
Well, I'm not against them. I'm against not being able to prove that they're a worthy cause or valid. But this is very, very valid. You have a family, you have a home, you need healing time, and you need love and support, and that's what we're here for in the recovery community.
Yeah. Thank you so much,
yeah,
brother.
Thanks, Higgy. You know, we asked like so many people that we knew, like, what do you think about this? And then, you know, our parents were kind of like, I wouldn't do it. And we had people in the program saying, no, like you guys definitely should do it. So we kind of just went with it.
And people been donating, man. It was like, you know, we got a nice, like one of here's an amazing thing. Like, so the one guy on there, this guy that it was my buddy's boss, and we used to go to this church in Philly every week. And he would sit diagonal from us. Now, I don't like talk to him on a regular basis or anything, but this guy, man, you know, he's plugged into God and he's working a program, and like he donated $2,000. I mean, that blew my mind. I don't even know.
I like shed some tears over
that's love, bro. That's love and respect.
People have been mailing packages. So people have been helping. Like people have been mailing packages and stuff like that. And like, God, I mean, just the humbleness of that, like just. It makes me want to be able to, you know, like once I'm back on my feet and squared away, like I want to be able to give back. It's teaching me a lot, you know, that humbleness. Like people I don't even know are donating and helping us out, and like it makes me want to get like now. I do a lot of things that I don't talk about. You know, I give a lot and I do a lot, and I don't even tell her or anybody. You know, like I do that between me and God. You know, and like
that's the way it's supposed to be.
It makes me want to do more of that. You know, like. Instead of judging people on what they're going through, maybe I can look into it a little more and say, hey, maybe this person really does need a hand. You know, maybe that $20 will go along. You know what I mean? Like, so
yeah, a hand up, not a handout.
Yeah. So instead of beating people down and automatically judging, you know, maybe I need to look at it and say, you know what, I am in a position to help somebody. You know, I am in a position to reach my hand back and give what was so freely given to me, man. And like
in due time, like, bro, in due time.
I'm impatient, man. I'm like, I'm going nuts.
I am too. I totally am.
If I had a broken hip, I'd be painting my house. I'd be doing something right now. I just feel like I'm a bum. I'm sitting on the couch. Tina, can you get me a drink? Can you get me a thing? Can you get me this? Can you Can you help me shower? She has to help me get in the shower.
Lucky you.
For a living though, and you know, his aunt's staying with us, and she needs a lot of help too. So like,
yeah, she's getting overwhelmed. She's helping me help my aunt with the kids. She's pregnant. You know, it's a lot. You know, and my job usually is to handle the financial end. You know, like
Warwick, Chicago Hope Dealers.
What up, Jonathan?
Jonathan, how you doing, brother? Thank you. Yeah, guys, I'm doing all right. You know, I'm in a lot of pain. And yeah, it's tough, man. It's really humbling for me to sit still, you know, like to sit here. But like maybe.
Dena, how far along are you?
God, I'm only like probably like 8 weeks. I haven't, you know, went to the doctors yet because I'm kind of scared, like to go to the doctors because of the coronavirus. So like I've been I've been kind of pushing it off, but I'm like around 8 weeks.
Yeah, we're coming in.
1 second.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, that's why I'm trying to quit cigarettes, is because I don't want to, you know.
Absolutely. Well, I'll let you go. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing the message over there. I've really enjoyed talking with you guys. You know, it's cool to learn about, you know, where you come from. You know, hear a true, real message of hope, recovery, about your faith. You know, that there's a lot to be gained by being honest and transparent. And there's a lot of people that in the comments that love and support you guys and really appreciate what you guys do online for them.
Thank you, and we love you guys. You know, you get the relationship with people on here, you know, and like we grow, like we know a lot of people now. It's just amazing what you can use these tools for. So like, you know, if you guys are on here watching, like message somebody, message someone in the comments, reach out, message us, you know, like
we're always available.
like just reach out, man. We'll do whatever we can. Like, you know, if you're willing, you know, like
willingness goes a long way.
You know, we've had so many people call, and you know, like, you know, there's a lot of time wasters too. That just want to talk and complain and never talk. Like, if you're willing, like, people will go out of their way to do whatever they can to help you. You know what I mean? Absolutely. And we love you guys, man. We really do. And we're grateful that you got us on here, brother. We really are.
Thank you so much.
I want to have you guys back. We could chop it up about a recovery topic or just the state of the world, anything. I really enjoyed the conversation, and again, I get a good vibe from you guys, and that's why I wanted to invite you guys on.
Thank you, man.
I'm attracted to real, genuine, authentic personalities, and you guys are those two, all of them. God bless you both.
You too. We'll chat soon.
Stay safe.
Bye.
Good night, everybody. My computer's getting ready to die. I just want to thank everybody for being here. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for all the love and support in the comments. You guys are amazing. You guys are worthy of this thing called recovery. Keep fighting. Let's get another day, y'all. Peace out.